There is only 1 month till the wedding, and the invitations for both my family and Willow's have already been sent out. But what our whole family never saw coming was that the groom's name wasn't mine. It was Willow's first love, Makoto, who didn't love her back. The Liu family thought we were merely new money with no genuine status, while the Ito family was rich and well known. But they didn't realize that our company had offices in other countries, and we merely came back to China for vacation. When my brother saw this, he dragged out a sack and called his brothers to teach Willow a lesson. My dad, who looked angry, called my younger sister Alicia, who was in charge. It's getting colder. Let's make the Liu family go bankrupt. My mom took out the marriage certificate that old Mr. Liu had used to propose and planned to show it on the wedding day to make the Liu family the laughing stock of the circle. At the same time, I called Willow's aunt and told her that the wedding invitation was ready, but we still needed a bride. Are you coming? Chapter 1. The Liu family has sent out their wedding invites. This morning, my dad came back from outside with a beautiful crimson wedding invitation with gold accent. My older brother quickly came over to check it out, eager to see the invitation. Let me see what George's wedding invitation looks like. My mom, with a joyful smile, took the invitation and opened it, but her expression instantly changed. Old Wong, the name on this invitation isn't George's. Impossible. My dad was stunned. If it's not George on the Liu family's invitation, who else could it be? Their wedding was personally arranged by old Mr. Liu. My mom shrugged and unfolded the invitation. Take a good look, it says Makoto for the groom. What? My dad stared at the invitation in shock, his face turning pale. Has the Liu family gone mad? The wedding is only a month away. How dare they call off the engagement now? My older brother quickly added. The Liu family didn't cancel the wedding. They've just replaced the groom and were the only ones kept in the dark. Our Wong family had never been so humiliated. Both my dad and oldest brother were outraged and swearing, absolutely losing their composure. My brother even somehow obtained an old sack and was ready to give Willow a piece of his mind. While all was going on, I was sitting on the couch and not taking it seriously at all. If Willow wasn't good looking, I wouldn't even consent to marry her. If they want to call off the wedding, fine. There's always the next one. The next one will be more obedient. The next one will be better. I pretended to hesitate and looked at my mom, since it was up to her to make a decision. Mom, the Liu family is clearly calling off the wedding. Why don't we cancel ours too? My mom expressionlessly took out the marriage certificate written by old Mr. Liu himself. 6 months ago, my dad had helped old Mr. Liu, who was being followed by kidnappers, while chopping wood in the mountains. In gratitude, old Mr. Liu insisted on having his granddaughter marry me. This certificate was the proof. Unexpectedly, just a month after old Mr. Liu went away, the Liu family had openly replaced the groom. My mom tucked the marriage certificate into her pocket and escorted me to the Liu family's former apartment. The historic mansion of the Liu family, which had recently taken down the mourning clothing, now showed crimson lanterns prepared for the approaching wedding in a happy environment. Willow's birth mother was now the head of the old house, and she kept us waiting for 3 hours. Only until my mom's face had totally turned icy did she slowly approach over and talk. The old man has passed away and Willow is in such a hurry to marry. There's just so much going on. I overlooked Madame Wong. Mrs. Liu was wearing an amazing kipao and a big gold chain around her neck. My mom stood up to meet her, but to our astonishment, Mrs. Liu didn't even look at us and marched right to the main seat to sit down. She stared at my mom and me with a spark of hatred, only to realize that her well-made-up face couldn't compare to my mom's natural beauty, which was even more striking. A tinge of jealousy flashed in her eyes. My mom's expression darkened and she promptly sat down, slamming the invitation down the table. I just want to know, what does this invitation from the Liu family mean? Oh, so you've seen it. Young Master Ito is the only son of the Ito family, incredibly handsome and extraordinarily talented. He just returned from abroad and Willow couldn't wait to go to his house to propose. Mrs. Liu avoided answering my mom's question and spoke in a roundabout way. We look forward to seeing You at the wedding, our family initially thought there was a mistake with the name on the invitation. But listening to her statements, it seemed that the Liu family had purposely disguised the fact that they replaced the groom from us. My mom's face grew dark, and she pounded the table fiercely. Oldmer Liu just passed away a month ago, and you, the Liu family, purposely covered the fact that you replaced the groom. Isn't that a bit too much of an insult to us? Chapter to Mrs. Liu seemed to be astonished as she looked at my mom and added, I thought you knew. Willow and young Master George's engagement was merely a show for the old man. Now that the audience is gone, the show should be over. She cast a mocking glance at me and asked young Master George, can't be serious, can he a show? My mom, who had been preparing to return the marriage certificate to the Liu family, sneered upon hearing this. If it was a show, why would you propose marriage? Everyone knows that George is Willow's fiancé. Now you've replaced the groom and our family has become a total joke. The Liu family's actions were nothing but a slap in the face to the Wang family. And they didn't only smack, they trampled on it too. Why is Madame Wang so nervous? Mrs. Liu answered slowly. I know that young Master George admires Willow. I have a means for him to stay at her side. I suddenly expanded my eyes. What, since when did I admire Willow? If it weren't for her decent looks and her obedient, well-mannered nature, I wouldn't have agreed to marry her. Mrs. Liu seemed to think that my mom's silence meant consent, and with a smug look she continued, after Willow marries young Master Ito, they will live abroad. When she returns to the old house, I'll have George remain here with me. He'll accompany Willow when she's back at the old house. It's as if the old man insisted on tying your son's fate to Willow's life. How ridiculous! Even a woman like my mom, who had seen all sorts of things in life, couldn't help but widen her eyes and say, you want my son to be Willow's lover and then come back to your old house to serve you? The more my mom spoke, the darker her face got. She stared at Mrs. Liu and screamed, what right do you Liu family members have to act so arrogantly? Willow should take a careful look at whether she is deserving of this. It's impossible. There's no way the Wang family, whether male or female, would ever become someone's lover. My dad would definitely deal with the Liu family. Mrs. Liu had just one daughter, and in her opinion, any man must desire to marry Willow to climb the Liu family's ladder. When she heard my mom's cruel ridicule, the smile on her face disappeared. The old guy did suggest that Willow will marry George, but George should take a look at himself. What is he, a country nouveau rich who thinks he can marry our Willow? What does he take the Liu family for? I don't know what kind of nonsense you've been feeding the old man, but he insisted on tying Willow's life to his gratitude. How ridiculous! Mrs. Liu pointed at me and coldly sneered at my mom. Apart from his face, what does George have that compares to young Master Ito, a descendant of a prestigious family? To have him serve me and Willow, that's already showing you some respect. Don't be ungrateful. When Oldmer Liu was alive, Mrs. Liu would smile brightly every time she saw my mom calling her sister and praising her. But now soon the old man passed away, her hideous face suddenly exposed itself. Seeing my mom's face turning darker, Mrs. Liu's eyes glittered with contempt and mocking. In the past I was giving you face, but now you're simply a country nouveau rich who genuinely believes you're anything. My mom, stunned, jumped up and yelled, this is an utter insult. Mrs. Liu also flung her sleeve, threatening my mom. Her eyes sparkled with evil purpose. What if we are bullying you? What's George worth? What's the Wang family worth? The Liu family is the #1 family in city A. My daughter will be the future head of the Liu family. You'd better prepare to send George over here, otherwise I'll destroy the entire Wang family. My mom grabbed me and turned to walk out, saying, dream on, my son will never come here to be bullied by you. Just as we were about to leave, I couldn't help but glance back and saw the vicious look in Mrs. Liu's eyes. To please Oldmer Liu, Mrs. Liu had complimented my mom many times. Now that she was in power, she was clearly planning to take all her resentment out on me. Chapter 3. These Liu people are out of their minds. My mom angrily led me outside, saying, from now on, even if Willow comes to look for you, don't pay any attention to her. Just as we were about to reach the door, we ran into Willow walking toward us. When old Mr. Liu was alive, He often asked my dad and me over to visit, and Willow was always there. She would bring tiny gifts every time, and as a courtesy I would also offer her some bamboo shoots and mushrooms I had harvested from the highlands. It was Willow who had been pursuing me, but when Mrs. Liu spoke it had morphed into me, always chasing after Willow. Now she had lost her mind and wanted me to be her lover and serve like a servant. For their family, Willow swiftly walked over, stopped us with her hand, and her gaze fell on me. She looked down at me and whispered, "It seems my mom has already spoken to you. From now on you will stay at the old house and serve my mom, but there is one condition. When Makoto comes back you mustn't appear in front of him." I was taken aback and quickly stepped back, trying to avoid her sticky gaze, and said, "Sorry. I've already refused your father's request. Find someone else who knew that." Willow would take a big step forward and say, "Makoto is the only son of the Ito family. He will assist me handle the entire Liu family while you're merely the son of a nouveau riche. The fact that I'm allowing you to stay by my side already proves that I like you. Makoto is generous enough to enable me to see you 3 days a month." She said this so firmly, and both my mom and I were startled. "Willow," I instantly interrupted her, exclaiming loudly, "I didn't know you had someone else in your heart when I agreed to marry you. Now that the groom has been replaced, our engagement is null. An invalid. Let's part ways without any further entanglements." But Willow frowned and gave me a cold, menacing look. "George, throwing a tantrum has its limitations. If you deny now, you never know what can happen to the Wong family tomorrow. Is she out of her mind? She's threatening me. How come I never noticed? How incredibly stupid she looks." My mom stood in front of Willow and said, "The Liu family status is not comparable to ours. Don't worry. Whoever regrets it will be a fool." My mom shoved Willow aside and walked out, completely ignoring Willow's dark expression. When we came back home, we discovered my dad had returned with a dismal look. "What's wrong with you? What happened?" These two have been married for so many years and still have such good tacit understanding. My dad's expression was grim as he sneered, "Now there's widespread news about the Liu and Ito family's wedding of the century next month. Everyone is laughing at how George wanted to climb the social ladder only to end up with nothing." My mom, whose anger had just calmed down, was boiling again that Willow wants George to be her lover and serve her whole family like a servant. My dad, in rage, rolled up his sleeves and was about to fight, cursing that little Liu girl has gone mad. "Who does she think she is, trying to make a move on my son?" My older brother, who had been silent the whole time, pulled out his dirty sack and said, "If not, should I go tonight?" My dad slapped my older brother on the head and cursed, "What nonsense are you talking about? Will beating her solve the problem?" My older brother, still unwilling, took out his phone and called a new friend. "Yes, Willow from a city. She's bullying my brother. Get some people, put her in a sack and beat her up. I'm going to break her legs." My mom sneered. I originally assumed that if the Liu family spoke correctly and apologized, we would just return the marriage certificate to them. But who realized that the elderly lady dared to threaten me? "If we don't send George over, she'll destroy our entire family." My dad's body stiffened, and he said, "The bastard who do the Liu family think they are?" My older brother hung up the phone with a grim face and said, "The Liu family is spreading rumors saying they will expel us from a city." Chapter 4. When my dad was abroad, he could summon winds and clouds, but now in a small city like A, he was being threatened. He was so enraged that his hands were shaking. He took out his phone and contacted Alicia, third sister. "I don't care what means you use, destroy the Liu family." Alicia patiently listened to my dad's exaggerated description, her voice frigid as ice. "I know about the issue. It's becoming colder. Let the Liu family go bankrupt." My mom seized the phone from him and shouted, "We've been bullied to this extent. Is there anything more important than this? The wedding is a month away and all the invitations have already been sent out." Alicia's voice remained cold. "Are you planning to personally go and get the invites?" Both my parents trembled. The Liu family was not on the same level as ours, but Oldmer Liu was a decent man, and he and my dad had been great friends. Willow wasn't bad either. She was decent looking, and most importantly, she was reasonable and well behaved. Once the wedding date was decided, my parents couldn't stop boasting that I was about to get married. After all, no one abroad would dare marry me now. If we go back and fetch the invites, the looks of those sneering people would be unfathomable. My dad thought about that scene and promptly scowled, stating, "I'm not going letting people know that." He, the head of the Wong family, had been played by a third-rate small family in his own country. Does he have no pride? I'll take care of the Liu family. You figure out how to manage this on your own. Otherwise, you guys best come back here, Alicia stated before hanging up. My third sister must be furious at us for not taking her back to China. My dad replied awkwardly. We had returned to China, but the Wong family couldn't be left without a leader. After voting, we all agreed that Alicia was the most suited person to be the head of the Wong family. My older brother quietly stated from the side, since the Liu family can change the groom, we can change the bride. My dad's eyes lit up. Yes, George, it has to be better than the little Liu girl. I shivered. Find someone at that moment. My mom pulled out a stack of photos and said, "Sweetheart, these are all my treasures. Pick one." I looked at the different lovely women in the images and couldn't help but twitch my lips, saying, "You've been preparing this for a long time, haven't you? It would really be hard to find someone better than Willow in the short term." My parents considered about everyone they knew, but didn't find anyone appropriate. My older brother leaned over and asked, "Have you chosen who you want to choose?" I confidently answered, "Don't worry about this, leave it to me." Actually, I wasn't sure if I could succeed, but after thinking about it, she was the only one. So I sneaked into her room and spotted her seated at the desk with a book. The sunshine landed on half of her face, accentuating her exquisite features and perfect contour, emanating a slight golden glow. Her beauty was so dazzling that any man who saw her would be completely charmed. They say she's like a unique jewel in the world, but I think she's more like the bright moon, hanging high in the sky, powerful and gorgeous. You keep barging in again and again. Maybe it's time to alter the people around me," Anna replied without lifting her head, speaking gently. I unceremoniously sat on the sofa next to her, made myself a cup of tea, and stated, "No matter how many people you change, you can't stop me. Why bother? I have stuff to chat to you about." Only then did Anna lift her head and glance at me, her cold, uncaring eyes betraying no thoughts, only an ice gaze, as she inquired, "What is it?" But her face made me almost forget the reason I had come. I quickly snapped out of my daze and said flatteringly, "Do you know that Willow changed her wedding partner?" Anna looked down at the book in her hands and said, "So do you want to get her back?" I seriously studied Anna's stunning face and asked, "Anna, do you have time to marry me?" Chapter 5. In an instant, I saw a flash of stars in her eyes, which disappeared the moment I blinked. She finally put down the book in her hand and raised her eyes to look at me. Her dark eyes retained an indifferent remoteness, as if nothing could ever enter her sight. I convinced myself that I must have been mistaken. Anna, the everlasting iceberg, obviously couldn't have any other feelings in her eyes. I quickly shook my head, removing the confusion in my mind, and said, "You know, the Liu family replaced the groom and threatened to push us out of a city." Anna lowered her gaze and stated, "With your powers, you could easily defeat the Liu family." I hurriedly waved my hands. "What are you talking about? This is China. I'm a law-abiding citizen." "So your family wants to change the bride?" Anna sneered, glancing at me casually. "Or are you using me to make Willow angry?" I couldn't help but rub my nose, and under her scrutinizing gaze defended myself, "Of course not. I don't like her. If you don't like her, why did you agree to marry her?" Anna smiled, but the air around us grew colder. I just believed she was reasonable and obedient, and that she'd be easy to handle. "Who knew she'd be this bothersome?" I quickly exclaimed loudly. "My family has already sent out the invitations. If we can't find someone to marry by next month, I'll have to personally go back and grab the invites." My voice grew softer. "Think about it, George. I can't lose face. For some reason, I feared nothing in this world except my mom. But every time I was in front of Anna, I couldn't help but lower my head." Anna's eyes fluttered as she nonchalantly fiddled with the pages of her book and murmured, "What's in it for me? I'll promise you anything you want." My eyes brightened up. "And don't worry, this will just be a formality. After everything blows over, we'll announce that we've already divorced. It won't impact you at all. It won't get in the way of you and your future husband." As soon as I finished speaking, the temperature in the room could freeze a person. Anna was angry. I couldn't understand why she was angry. This woman's rage flares up so suddenly my pulse raced. As I hurriedly prepared many justifications in my head, ready to beg and plead. Then I heard a faint sigh from above. Go back. I'll tackle this situation. Once she accepted, I found myself at a loss, my eyes wide. As I asked, really, Anna glanced up at me and said, "Aren't you leaving, or do you want to talk about something else?" The atmosphere in the room grew strangely ambiguous, and I suddenly felt a little angry. I rose up abruptly. "Then I'll leave first. Please arrange the fake marriage as soon as feasible." I purposefully stressed the terms fake marriage. After speaking, I suddenly felt stupid and walked directly to the door and out of the room. The bodyguards outside glanced at me in disbelief. Georgiana, sitting at her desk, lifted her eyes and looked at me. "Don't forget you said you'd agree to anything I want." I glared at her fiercely. I know. As I walked back home, I couldn't help but mutter angrily, "Shameless." Anna, would she agree to a fake marriage with anyone else if they asked? HMPH, stupid woman. The first time I met Anna was on a snowy night last year. After finishing my business at the venue, I was going to drive home when she unexpectedly appeared in my car. Anna's face was so gorgeous that even covered in blood, she was absolutely stunning. After rescue her, I found she was the newly anointed head of the Zoo family. I should have let her perish in the snow. Angrily, I walked home, and before I could even approach the door, a loud scream reverberated from my head. Individuals like you, nouveau rich, believing you can climb the social ladder. How shameless to cling to our young lady. Do you even have any shame? Chapter 6. I quickly stepped forward and found several individuals blocking the door of my house, shouting at the top of their lungs. The older woman at the forefront looked somewhat dignified, but her voice was shrill and grating. "Don't you know what kind of status your family has? Our Liu family is the wealthiest in the city. You think you can marry our future head of the family? Dream on." My mom was cleaning the steps at the door when the woman with her group carried a bucket of dirty water and poured it over her. The steps my mom had worked hard to clean were suddenly a mess, and my mom was so astonished that her first response was to reach for the revolver at her waist. When she realized we were in China, she grabbed the mop instead and swung it toward the old woman, cursing, "If your mouth is filthy, you should wash it properly." The old woman didn't expect my mom to actually take action, so she quickly dodged to the side and yelled, "Isn't what I'm saying true? You've already broken off the engagement, and yet you're still bothering our young lady. How shameless, shameless, shameless." My fist clenched. The last person who tried to offend me like that doesn't even know how tall the grass on their grave is. Neighbors who heard the ruckus began to come out to observe the action. We had only recently bought this property, relocating here from the deep mountains, so we didn't know anyone in the region. The people around us gazed at me, muttering among themselves. Their gazes were filled with hatred and disgust. Well, it's apparent that this person was dispatched by the Liu family deliberately to damage my family's image. They want to make my family hated by the people around us, forcing me to compromise and go to the Liu family to beg them, then let them manipulate us. What a wicked scheme. The old woman nimbly dodged my mom's attack and immediately shouted at the top of her lungs, "Everyone, please help us reason with this. Our young lady is about to get married, yet this Wang family's son still keeps bothering her." Before he tricked the old man into giving away the family heirloom, I'm here to get back our Liu family's heirloom, but this family is trying to steal it from us. My mom came from a scholarly family and had never encountered such a vulgar woman before. She was so enraged that her hands were trembling. Seeing that she had someone supporting her, the old woman went even more caustic, adding, "Everyone knows our young lady's heart belongs to young Master Ito. He's a top-tier prodigy who returned after studying overseas. Your Wang family's son isn't even worthy of being compared to his pinky. What's this heirloom you're talking about?" I asked coldly, standing behind my mom. The old woman noticed me and instantly pointed at me, saying, "I'm talking about young Master George." The old lady said that if you return the heirloom, she won't pursue the matter of deceiving the old man. I flashed her a stern gaze, and the old woman, scared, reflexively took a step back. I examined the mass of observers and replied, "You keep saying My family is occupying your Liu family's heirloom. Then tell me, what is this so-called inheritance if you can't answer? I'll contact the police for defamation. I'm not defaming you. The old woman panicked when she heard the mention of the police. At the beginning, you were pestering our young girl, insisting on marrying her. You duped the elderly guy into giving you an emerald pendant as a mark of engagement. That's the heirloom of the Liu family. When elderly Liu sent the marriage license, he did indeed send along an emerald pendant. It was so cheap that I just tossed it aside. My older brother searched for it for a long time and finally located the pendant in a corner, with a thick layer of dust on the box. I took the box, opened it, and held up the pendant in front of everyone, asking, "Is this it?" Chapter 7. Yes, this is it. Madam showed me a photo of it. She even stated, "You're the ones who took our Liu family's heirlooms." Seeing this, the old woman instantly tried to seize the box. I swiftly sidestepped and then, in front of everyone, exhibited the jade pendant. It's just a plain jade pendant with icy floral patterns, worth a little over $1 million. This heirloom sure is cheap. Laughter erupted around us. Who didn't know that the Liu family was the wealthiest in a city? Calling this thing an heirloom was an insult to everyone's intelligence. I shoved the jade pendant back into the box and tossed it to the old woman, saying, "Your Liu family's worthless stuff. I'm not interested." The old woman's face turned red and she fumbled to catch the box. "What do you know? This was given to my future grandson-in-law by the old lady. You're just a brat. You don't understand its value." After being insulted again and again, my mom couldn't take it anymore and raised the mop. "Son, don't be afraid. Watch me tear this old woman's filthy mouth apart." I quickly reached out to stop my mom and said slowly, "Mom, they came to demand things, of course. They should return everything without exception." My mom quickly understood and rummaged through the home to pull out the marriage certificate we were supposed to return to the Liu family. I casually picked an onlooker, an older woman, and handed the marriage certificate to her, saying, "Annie, why don't you read this out loud for everyone to hear and see how I've been chasing after the Liu family?" The older woman, eager for gossip, took the marriage certificate and read aloud. "I, Diego Liu, on behalf of my granddaughter Willow Liu, request to marry Wang family's second son, George." Oh my God. This is old Liu's handwritten marriage request. This is a marriage certificate. Did you hear that? I sneered, looking at the now pale-faced woman. "The marriage certificate personally written by your family's old man says, 'Request to marry me, George.' It's request. This marriage was something old Liu requested, for our Wang family has never chased after the Liu family." The older woman, reading the certificate, looked at the old woman sarcastically and said, "Old Liu just passed away a month ago, and now your Liu family turns its back, replacing the groom. And now you're bringing a useless jade pendant to trash this young man's reputation. Without old Liu, the Liu family is crumbling apart." Ho whispers filled the air, with all eyes pointing at the old woman. "You don't know anything." The old woman waved her hand, stubbornly denying it. "He's only a son of a nouveau rich. Who knows what kind of magic they fed the old man, making him listen to them." "Magic?" I raised my eyebrows. This was just half a year ago. Do you really think everyone's memory is that short? When old Liu was kidnapped and the kidnappers demanded $1 billion in ransom, your Mrs. Liu, pretending to be poor, waited for the kidnappers to kill him, hoping to help her daughter inherit the family business. Gasps of shock rippled through the crowd as they decided to stay and listen for more juicy gossip for the next gathering. "You're lying." The old woman trembled. "Lying?" I scoffed. "If it weren't for old Liu's courage and wisdom, daring to jump off the car and hiding in our family's back mountains, he would have been dead long ago." "Didn't the person you sent tell you when my dad rescued old Mr. Liu from the mountains he had broken ribs and could barely breathe from hunger?" Mrs. Liu kneeled by his bed for 3 whole days to earn his forgiveness. "You're turning our life-saving grace into deception, Liu family. You have no shame." The ferocity of my expression made her tremble, and she pointed at me, shaking. "You're such a vicious man. You don't know anything about being virtuous, respectful to elders, or loving children. Who would want to marry someone like you?" "I would." Chapter 8. Before I could react, a frigid voice blasted out from outside. The observers instantly stepped aside and the driver pushed Anna, who was sitting in a wheelchair, into the room. I raised an eyebrow. Had she been following me the whole time? She took a step back in shock and exclaimed, "Miss, what are you doing here?" Mystery question marks appeared over my head, and for a moment I was at a loss. I apologized for the behavior of the ungrateful members in the Liu family. I wondered whether Anna could perform this marriage contract on their behalf. Anna quietly looked at my parents. "Missy's just the son of a nouveau riche. How could he possibly be worthy of you?" Miss, the old woman shook even more, unable to even look at the person in the wheelchair. "Aunt Wu, I don't remember the Liu family's relic turning into a jade pendant." With floral designs, Anna's voice was soft, but the old woman immediately collapsed to the ground, her face turning ashen. With a swoosh, another car drew up outside the crowd, and Anna Zhu's assistant got out holding a present list and pushing through the mob. Apologies, President Zhu's instructions came rather unexpectedly. I only managed to bring this item out, and the rest are still being arranged. The helper opened the dark box in his hands, displaying a vivid green jade ruby scepter. "Ah," the nearest aunt exclaimed in amazement. "Isn't this the jade old Mr. Liu bought for $100 million? It is indeed the jade. My father bought the largest piece." Carved into this green ruby scepter, Anna's gaze fell on the jade ruby. "This is my Liu family's heirloom. I'm using it to propose to George from the Wang family." At this point, the assistant unfolded the gift list and loudly read it out. 10 villas at Lakeside Bay, 20 storefronts on New Street, a ranch at South Bay, a golf course at North Sea, a block of land in the west suburbs. Village shops, land, countless jewelry. The old woman felt that the package in her hands was a hot potato. This gift list could buy tens of thousands of those cheap jade pendants, not to mention the precious imperial green jade ruby. She understood that the stone that generated the imperial green jade had numerous more raw pieces, and even the remaining parts incorporated in jewelry were worth a lot. There were continual screams of awe from the gathering. The old woman felt her face burn with embarrassment, but she couldn't dare look at Anna. I slowly widened my eyes. If this was an act no one had stated, it would be this convincing. Could it be that Anna was laying out the entire family fortune? The assistant completed reading the list in one breath, hardly able to contain his hoarse voice. He wiped his throat and added, "There wasn't enough time. This is only a temporary list of gifts we've managed to organize. President Zhu values young Master George immensely, and another part of the gifts is still being sorted." The crowd gasped. This was enough to make anyone drool. How much more was there to come? Anna, sitting in her wheelchair, seemed to be towering over everyone. Anna truly offers to George, willing to be his forever partner. One heart, one soul, and never to waver. No, the old woman jumped up quickly. "You are the old man's daughter by seniority. He should call you aunt. You can't marry him." My dad's face darkened. "Liu and I are pals, close like brothers. Why should my son call his daughter aunt after saying that?" My dad shot me a harsh glare, then turned to Anna with a neutral expression. "Everyone come inside." Chapter 9. My dad glanced at Anna with a neutral expression. "Thank you, Miss Zhu, for stepping in today. As for the suggestion, let's consider it settled." Anna appeared to have foreseen that my dad would refuse, and instead she tossed the ball to me. "Mr. Wang, perhaps you should ask George. His opinion is the most essential, isn't it?" I was sweating nervously, feeling that my dad's respiration had gotten deeper. My mom pushed him, and only then did he coldly scoff in the end. "You're still a member of the Liu family, no matter how sweet your words are now. It's hard to say if one day you won't betray us." "I'm willing," I interrupted my dad. "Dad, I'm willing to marry her in an instant." My dad's face turned the same color as a 1,000-year-old pot-bottom grime. In the end, my parents brought Anna into the study, asking my older brother to stay outside and watch me, making sure I didn't eavesdrop. My parents plainly assumed I would eavesdrop, but I'm not like that. I sat in the living room, straining my ears to listen. My older brother, with a naughty grin, leaned in and said, "George, you're something rejected by your fiancée, and now her aunt's here to propose to you." "Cut it out." I pushed my older brother away. "Her last name is Zhu. How would I know her link with Willow?" This was the truth. I only knew she took her mother's surname, not her father's surname, which was Liu. But thinking about the notion that after marrying her, Willow would have to call me uncle, A smug sensation developed in my heart. My older brother snuggled up next to me saying she's Anna. How do you know her? Seeing that I wasn't answering, he kept on talking to himself. She perfect in every way. Great family, beautiful, just a little worse than me. It's a shame about her legs, but 6 months ago when she hit in my car, she had major exterior injuries and she had been in the snow for a long period. The blood on her wounds had frozen. I've always been fond of beautiful things, so I hauled her into the car and was going to take her to the hospital. But Anna abruptly woke up and refused to go to the hospital, even trying to open the door and jump out. In the end, I took her to my house and contacted the family doctor to check on her. Unfortunately, by the time we noticed it, she had already lost sensation in her legs. I rolled my eyes at my older brother. Enough. What do you think Mom and Dad would say paying money to make her leave you? My older brother bent his head and thought for a bit. Dad would really do that, but the Zhu family isn't worse than ours. I wonder if Dad would offer half of the Wong family, would they even be interested? My eldest brother abruptly stopped and glanced me up and down. George, you didn't get physical with her straight away. I sprayed my tea out, my eyes darting about uncomfortably. Older brother, am I the kind of person you are ever since she showed up? Your eyes haven't left her face. My older brother looked at me with hatred. I couldn't stop feeling terrible, but it wasn't my fault. If Anna didn't have that face, I would have just hauled her out of the car and left her to her fate after a while. My mom walked out with an air of rage and I froze. I simply knew I was in for trouble. Sure enough, my mom grabbed the broom next to her and swung it at me. My older brother came over and grabbed her legs. Mom, let's talk this through. He's just made the mistake that every man makes. Of course, my mom couldn't stand to hit me. When my older brother shouted, mother, lower the broom. You constantly protect him. Do you know what he's done ever since he was young? Every time something happens, you just shelter him. Wait until he gets married. Let's see who will protect. And then chapter 10, Mom, it's not that serious, right? My older brother looked at my mom in shock. It's just a little romance, my mom sneered. He's already been to her bed. It's too late to say anything now. My older brother, expressionless, stepped aside. Go ahead. He definitely needs to be taught a lesson. I shouted loudly. That's not true. I was just really tired that day and forgot someone was in the house. It was a misunderstanding. My mom sneered. Now she's come to your door and wants you to take responsibility. What are you going to do about it? I had cast the actor, so now I had to make sure the performance was done, even if it meant crying. I said with a righteous expression, well, I'll just go along with it and take responsibility for her, not just going along with it. My dad walked out of the study just in time to hear my words. His face instantly darkened. My son, the Wong family doesn't need to settle for anything. As long as you don't want to marry her, no one can force you. My older brother, coolly watching from the side, added, even if you never marry, the Wong family can still support you. Seeing my dad and older brother treating Anna like a delinquent, I quickly said loudly, I'm willing. It's not just going along with it. My mom sneered, dropped the broom in her hand and gave my dad a cold look. You can't see it, but their hearts have already flown together. With that, my mom turned to Anna and said, stay and have a meal with us, okay? Anna responded softly. Was it simply my perception, or had her fury improved so much the lunch was intense? My dad and elder brother were doing their best to toast Anna. Not drinking was deemed disrespectful to the future father-in-law and older brother. Meanwhile, while serving wine, my mom dug up some of Anna's family secrets. For example, the unorthodox love affair between Anna's mother and old Liu. You see, the Zhu family's influence abroad could rock the ground with a single stamp. Unlike our family, who started from scratch, their family had produced city lords in the past and was a well-established family back then. Anna's mother was framed by her own family and ended up stuck in the country. Old Liu saved her, but she lost her memories. Old Mr. Liu had lost his wife early and only had one son, Willow's father. Anna's mother and old Emmer Liu, fighting the age gap, fell in love and conceived Anna. But Willow's father was anxious that Anna would compete with her for the fortune, so when old Liu went away for work, He took extreme measures against his mother and Anna. When the Zhu family located Anna's mother, she had already passed away, so they took Anna and changed her surname to her mother's. This topic was known only to a very few, and out of respect for the Zhu family, no one ever publicized it. Suddenly, my dad slammed his chopsticks down on the table and said with an icy expression, "A family like yours is too dangerous. George has been raised under my protection. He won't be able to handle the intrigues of your family." My older brother couldn't help but roll his eyes, muttering under his breath, "He's lucky if he's not bullying others." My mom's gaze also grew a little hesitant. "If I suffer at the Zhu family, will they be able to back me up?" "Uncle, Aunt, don't worry. The Zhu family today is a one-man show," Anna stated weakly. I was a little astonished. Exactly a year ago, she almost lost her life, and now everything is straightened up. Anna firmly assured my parents, "After George and I get married, he will be the head of the Zhu family. Exactly like me. He will be my only husband. I pledge to the heavens I shall adore only him for my entire life." Chapter 11. I turned to stare at Anna, a flood of incomprehensible sentiments stirring in my heart. Because of her words, she was acting too convincingly. My older brother, curious, looked at Anna and asked, "How did you and George meet? For him to want to marry you so badly, you must have some impressive skills." My dad's dangerous gaze shifted to Anna, his expression like someone who thought she might be a human trafficker trying to kidnap his son. I knew that if they kept questioning, I'd slip up, so I quickly gave them a comprehensive and vivid explanation, leaving out only the bit about me asking Anna for a phony marriage. I didn't dare discuss anything, concerned that my legs may get broken if I did. My dad's face alternated between green and red as he gritted his teeth and downed a glass of wine, glaring at Anna fiercely. "If you've liked him this long, why didn't you show up sooner? You let him be humiliated by those people." Anna's gaze fell on me as she said, "At that time, the Zhu family was facing internal and external troubles, with countless people wanting to take my life. How could I pull George into this mess?" When Anna whispered my name, it sounded full of longing. When I cleaned away the threats, he had already agreed to another marriage. I thought he liked her, so I felt it would be okay to merely watch from a distance. I didn't expect they would treat him like waste, so I arrived. Anna earnestly swore, "Uncle, Aunt, rest assured my life was saved by George. I'm willing to offer him everything. For this life I will never betray him." I peered into her dark eyes, as if I saw infinite devotion reflected within them. In that moment, my heart fluttered slightly. My dad's face grew darker, but my mom's smile became more and more satisfied. Anna actually was the perfect wife candidate, attractive, affluent, and most importantly, she seemed so deeply in love with me. Compared to Willow, one was like the moon in the sky, the other like dust on the ground. By the conclusion of the lunch, this matter was settled, and my clothing were already soaked in sweat. If they kept asking, I'd actually believe that Anna truly loved me. After the lunch, my parents urged that I drive Anna home, calling it a chance to strengthen our friendship. As soon as I got into the car, I slumped my shoulders. That lunch certainly shaved 3 years off my life. I looked to Anna, who was somewhat tipsy. "This is the first time I've seen you drink so much." Anna lifted her head slightly, her cheeks colored with a trace of warmth from the alcohol. "I'm happy today." My gaze dropped to her legs as I asked, "Have you had them checked again?" Anna whispered, "I've been looking at them all along." "That means there was no improvement." I gazed at her legs and waist with a tinge of sympathy. Such a stunning woman, it was truly a shame. Curiously, I asked Anna, "What exactly did my parents say to you?" Anna's eyes seemed to melt, like an iceberg turning into spring water, and she spoke. "Your mother asked me how much I love you." I blinked in surprise and asked, "What did you say?" Anna didn't answer, but instead turned to look outside. I followed her eyes. The moon was particularly bright tonight, and a breeze delivered the freshness of the night. As I absorbed the smell of alcohol from Anna, I'd have felt a little tipsy. Just as Anna opened the car window to get some fresh air, a van sped up and obstructed our car. A few burly males wearing masks got out wielding steel pipes. Chapter 12. The intensity of their approach sobered me up swiftly. I stared at Anna in shock. "Is this aimed at you?" Anna slightly narrowed her eyes, tapping her finger gently on her Nia, she answered, maybe it's aimed at you. I haven't done anything immoral. Why would this be aimed at me? I shouted, stepping out of the car. Who are you people? They didn't answer. Instead, one of the hefty men raised the steel pipe and swung it furiously at my shoulder. I ran to the side and the steel pipe smacked into my car, making a dent in my cherished small golden automobile, adding a 10-centimeter long gash. My smile faded slightly as I looked at the masked men surrounding me. I tried talking to you nicely, but now you're not listening. One of the masked men swung the steel pipe again and cracked the right side mirror of my car. My face suddenly turned cold. My car is pricey. Can you afford the repair expenses? As soon as the words left my mouth, one of the masked men raised the steel pipe and smashed it against my windshield. With a thunderous collision, the windshield fractured in a spiderweb pattern. The males burst out laughing, evidently taunting me, thinking I couldn't do anything about it. They waved their steel pipes around, trying to frighten me, but I smirked and moved over. I kicked one of them and shouted, don't you fucking understand me? I've told you. My car is expensive. Kneeled down and apologized to my little golden car. By the time Anna's assistant and his team arrived, the masked men's hoods were nowhere to be seen. One by one, they were bowing on the ground, their heads swelled like pigs, furiously apologizing to my little golden automobile, continuously stating they were sorry. Master George, the assistant, paused for a second, staring at me standing with the steel pipe in hand, before he said with some difficulty, leave the rest to me. All right, just make sure they fix my tiny golden automobile. I tossed the steel pipe aside, returning to my pleasant demeanor. The assistant ordered the men to be hauled away and assisted Anna into the car. Because my car had been destroyed, Anna was frightened that I would face such people again and insisted on taking me home. When my parents saw that I had been sent back again, they were puzzled. After hearing the assistant's explanation, they were silent for a long time. My dad coldly remarked, even if the person George likes doesn't come from a powerful background, they must be someone who won't keep him back. Not someone who can merely sit in a car and wait for him to save them when danger hits. Those comments appeared to pierce Anna's heart. No matter how powerful her background was, it didn't matter. If when those individuals were swinging steel pipes at me, she could only helplessly sit in the car, anxiously waiting for me to knock them down. I wanted to speak up for her, but my mom pulled me into the house. As the door closed, I heard my dad coldly say, if your surroundings are always this dangerous and you can't even protect yourself, I won't allow George to marry you. The last thing I saw was Anna with her head lowered, mute. Dad, I carefully looked at my dad's dark expression. I had never seen him appear this serious before. She didn't mean to hurt her legs. Don't you think you're hurting her self-esteem by saying this? Once children grow up, they can't be kept anymore. My mom sneered from the side. Ignoring me, they both retreated to their rooms to sleep. I could only clumsily head back to my own room under the helpless gaze of my older brother. I wanted to wait until tomorrow when my parents had calmed down to try and talk to them and speak favorably about Anna. Chapter 13. The next morning when I woke up, my parents weren't home. But it wasn't until my older brother stopped me the third time I tried to go that I learned I had been grounded by my parents. They even assigned my older brother to watch me. Frightened, I'd sneak out to find Anna. It was those idiots who damaged my little golden automobile first, and I was merely fighting back. Why should I be grounded? An entire week went, and no matter what strategies I used, I never even made it out the front door. And Anna didn't come to see me once. Could it be that she's having second thoughts and no longer plans on going through with the phony marriage? According to my older brother's exaggerated description, Anna had sent all the masked men to the police station and made sure the people there took good care of them. She even found down the mastermind behind the gang. It came out the local bully that Anna had met when she went to China had meant to teach her a lesson, wanting her to keep low. But of course she met me. Furious, Anna swallowed up that entire family. And that's when people fully started to notice Miss Zhu's amazing talents. With the added drama of the Liu family's canceled engagement and new marriage this week, had been one rumor fest after another. I lied in bed with a shattered heart, ready to protest. By starving myself. Are you really not eating? My mom walked in. She and my dad had been hiding from me for the entire week, knowing they couldn't resist my sweet talk. Mom, I really know I was wrong. I'll become a monk. If I have to, just please don't keep me grounded any longer. I'm going crazy. I truly couldn't stand it anymore. Staying locked up in my room for a whole week was unbearable. My mom couldn't help but roll her eyes at me. Look at you, your dad's angry, and you won't even try to calm him down. I offered my mom a flattering shoulder rub. Well, you and dad ought to give me a chance. Seriously, what's on it compared to you two? No one loves me like you do. My mom was thrilled with my flattery and nodded in approval. Today, the Liu family issued us an invitation to attend their dinner party tonight. I raised an eyebrow in surprise. Willow still has the nerve to invite us. Doesn't she worry we'll ruin the celebration? The situation had been increasingly tense recently. In order to repair their reputation, the Liu family planned to organize a dinner party in their previous mansion to clear Makoto's name and introduce him to everyone. This was Makoto's first party after returning from studying overseas, and it was organized by the #1 family in a city, the Liu family. Almost everyone who was anyone was there. Makoto wore a white suit with a jade pendant exhibiting the same floral patterns exactly. The Liu family heirloom he had taken from me. Holding a wine glass in his palm, he basked in the spotlight, gladly enjoying the praise of the wealthy second-generation heirs. When my mom and I entered, all eyes turned toward us. I bent my head and looked at my mom, asking what's with all these people. My mom glanced at my suit and said the suit was airlifted here by Anna to make up for everything. It's custom made by the W family's chief designer. I hear this old designer hasn't personally manufactured garments in years. You can't buy it even if you had the money. I just thought the suit looked good and I had no idea it was so expensive. As the supper began, my mom disappeared, probably off enjoying herself somewhere. I hadn't eaten all day and my stomach was growling, so I walked straight to the food table to fill up. Of course, some folks always come to bother you while you're in a good mood. Makoto with a wine glass stepped over and said, Master George, I'm genuinely sorry. Willow and I are genuinely in love, but I didn't know she would hurt you for me. Chapter 14. When Makoto saw my suit, a flash of jealousy crossed his eyes. He looked at me with a terrible expression and said, I'm truly sorry. I can recompense you whatever you want. I'll make it up to you. The surrounding eyes quickly turned toward me and whispering began. How did he get invited to the Liu family's banquet? Isn't he trying to hit on Miss Liu? Miss Liu already has young Master Wang. How could she look at him? A nouveau rich like him is only trying to climb the social ladder. You better watch your women. He might steal them from you if he dares let me break his third leg. I angrily dug in my ear. Who knows why Willow issued us an invitation, but our family hasn't done anything wrong. If we don't come, it'll seem like we're terrified of her, so we all showed up. However, I wasn't here to be bullied. I raised my wine glass to Makoto and murmured, no need for compensation. In truth, I should thank you. Makoto was taken aback. My unpredictable remark caught him off surprise. He automatically said, thank me for what? Thank you for showing up so I could see that. Willow is a deceitful, ungrateful lady who turns on people faster than turning a book. But I advise you to break up with her soon, or you never know when she'll do the same to you. How can you say that? One of Makoto's friends immediately yelled at me in displeasure. Makoto is trying to make up for what happened, and you're advising him to break up with his fiancée before the wedding. How vicious of you. No wonder Miss Liu doesn't like you. I raised an eyebrow and lifted my wine glass, saying, yes, I wholeheartedly wish for you to experience what it feels like when your fiancé changes the groom without telling you a month before the wedding. He opened his mouth, unable to say a word, and just stared at me. This whole incident was Liu family's fault, especially with the marriage certificate glaring them in the face. I'm sorry, I really didn't know. Willow didn't tell you. Makoto, seeing more people gathering around, immediately apologize sincerely. If you're angry, we can annul the engagement until you forgive us. No need. I quickly waved my hand. You two should absolutely stay together as long as you can. Forgive me. Forgive Willow. I'll even kneel down to apologize if I must. Makoto suddenly shouted with tears. and his eyes ready to kneel before me in his distress. Before Makoto's knees had bent, he was pulled into someone's arms. "Makoto, this isn't your fault. You don't have to apologize to him," Willow murmured, holding Makoto closely, her eyes full with love and concern. "Willow, I just want young Master George to forgive me. I hope to receive his blessing." Makoto, appearing wrong, slumped into Willow's arms, making her heart hurt for him. "George, if you have a problem, take it out on me." Willow stood in front of Makoto, covering him. "Makoto is innocent. Even without him, I wouldn't marry you." I looked at her severe expression and giggled, purposely lowering my voice, asking Willow, "Didn't you get the marriage certificate?" What Willow didn't hear clearly. I clicked my tongue, and with a naughty grin exclaimed, I replied, "Didn't you get the marriage certificate?" By this time, half of the feast was watching us for the rumor. Willow's face twisted in shame, and suddenly she dropped her voice. "George, lower your volume." "What? I can't hear you." I raised my voice. "I told your servant to return the marriage certificate and your worthless family heirloom to you. Didn't she tell you I, George, have called off the engagement? I don't want you anymore." Chapter 15. Gasps resonated across the room. Willow's cheeks grew pale with wrath. "Stop talking, just shut up." Back then my dad was just being a good person, carrying the nearly starving old Merlieu to the hospital and even covering his medical bills. This small favor didn't deserve old Merlieu to personally ask for your hand in marriage. "Shut up, George, please stop talking." Willow panicked, but in such a public place, she didn't dare cover my mouth. I smiled gently at Willow, and she relaxed a bit. Then I raised my voice and shouted, "I've already called off the engagement. How could I go to your house to serve your mother and you? The Wong family's bloodline is sacred. I won't tolerate this kind of humiliation. How could the Liu family do such a thing?" "He's just lying." "My God, has the Liu family gone mad? They called off the engagement and got a new groom, yet still insult the man like this. Is the marriage certificate real?" I was there that day. I saw the marriage certificate with my own eyes. It was indeed written by old Mr. Liu himself. This is unbelievable. The Liu family has no dignity. They called off the engagement, but can't let the man go. The whispers grew louder and more frequent, and Willow and Makoto's faces grew more and more awful. Finally, unable to bear any longer, the two of them had no alternative but to escape in disgrace. Before they departed, Willow shot me an angry stare. I returned the look just as passionately. People like her should never be permitted to raise their head high. With that, I became the focus of attention, and no one dared to disturb me. For the remainder of the evening, I joyfully ate my fill. Just as I clapped my hands and went to go locate my folks to head home, a servant bumped into me. Red wine spilled into my clothes, destroying my just worn bespoke suit. "I'm so sorry, I truly didn't mean it." The servant was shaking with fear. "I'll pay for the dry cleaning." "How could you be so irresponsible?" Mrs. Liu appeared at that moment and scowled at me severely. "Why aren't you taking the guest to clean up? Get him a new outfit." "No need, I've eaten enough. I'm ready to go home." I stroked my clothes and smiled at Mrs. Liu. Letting the guest go in soiled clothes is very impolite. Mrs. Liu's face darkened. "Are you attempting to shame the Liu family on purpose?" "Guest, please follow me." The servant frightened. "There's a change room with spare clothes." She looked at me with pleading eyes, her hands trembling from the wounds on them. If I didn't go with her to deal with the garments, Mrs. Liu would direct her anger at her harming her career. "Then I'll bother you." I offered her a comforting grin, and she glanced at me with thankful eyes. "Master George, this way kindly." "The changing room is this way." The servant guided me onward. Halfway there, I realized this certainly wasn't the path to the guest rooms. When old Merlieu was still alive, I often accompanied my parents to the Liu family's old residence, and I'd never made a mistake on these paths. I feigned to know nothing and followed the servant to the farthest corner of the first floor to a guest room. "Master George, you can rest here. Call me if you need anything." The servant bent her head and closed the door. Only then did I start to take in my surroundings. The room's windows were completely sealed, the curtains pulled tightly, and the lights were muted to their lowest setting. The air was saturated with a floral aroma, which gave me a headache. The door was closed and the handle wouldn't budge. It seemed like they had prepared everything in preparation, George, you're here, a voice suddenly appeared from behind me. Chapter 16. Willow went out of the bedroom, wearing a bathrobe, her chest exposed with a wide view of spring, and the aroma of alcohol floated from her. I was immediately shocked by the scene. How much did she drink to smell like this? I tentatively inquired. Willow, what are you trying to do? Willow's glance ran up and down me, her eyes full of undisguised lust. Doesn't George know what I want? I averted Willow's advance, keeping a 3-meter barrier between us. I thought you weren't. This shameless Willow laughed arrogantly. George, you were always supposed to be my man. How dare Honor the bastard try to take what's mine? I frowned and asked, does Makoto know about this? Makoto is very generous. He doesn't mind me having other men. Willow lunged at me again. I evaded her lunge once more, adding, you and Makoto are truly a match made in heaven. George, my marriage to him is just a business arrangement. After all, the Wong family has never been of any help to me, but I love you. Willow's eyes shone with a red light filled with resolve. Don't worry, I will treat you well in the future. Anna is just a cripple. What right does she have to compete with me for a man? Can she make you happy? George, I know you've always liked me. The annulment and agreeing to marry the bastard were all to piss me off. The thought of conquest made Willow's drunkenness take over, and she became more daring and bold with her words. Unable to suppress the sense of triumph in her eyes, she said, although I can't marry you, you've always had a place in my heart. Don't worry, once I get rid of Anna the bastard and take control of the Liu family, I'll bring you by my side and be with you day and night. How stupid could she be to think she could kill Anna? And how could I ever think this fool was obedient and sensible? As I pondered, Willow suddenly grabbed my hand. I was surprised and immediately shoved aside the thought that had just come in my thoughts, shaking my hand aggressively. Damn, I'm contaminated. Willow quickly showed an infatuated look. George, good George, come let me kiss you. She rushed again, and I ducked, making our pursuit continue around the room. It's all that old bastard's fault, he actually thought. I wasn't worthy to be the head of the Liu family, trying to hand it over to Anna the bastard, but now I'm the head of the Liu family, and he's dead now. The entire Liu family is mine. And you're mine. The air grew even more decadent, and Willow's words became even more reckless, making my heart tremble. The consequences of her comments were immense. If what she stated was true, then Willow's conscience was actually eaten by a dog. Old Mr. Liu was indeed worthless, just as I was thinking about. How to depart unobserved? I suddenly felt a trembling in my body, and I became a bit dizzy. Then I understood that the intense floral aroma in the room had something unclean added to it. Seeing the medicine take effect, Willow laughed maniacally. Her earlier apparent adoration was only a stalling tactic. Finally realizing it's too late, I've already had someone add something to the incense that will make you obedient. George, you're my man. How dare you get engaged to another woman behind my back? I'll make you cry and beg me to love you as long as you behave and offer me the entire Wong family. I'll love you well. Willow's eyes flickered with eager heat. She was also disturbed by the incense, and in a fit of fury took off her bathrobe and brazenly lunged at me again. In her eyes, I had become something for her to manage. I instantly rolled over, kicked her in the abdomen, and yelled, I really gave you face. Chapter 17. Willow slumped to the ground and didn't get up for a long time. The agony made her head clear for a moment. How are you so strong? How did old Merliu raise this filthy thing? I grabbed Willow's head and pushed it hard into the ground, startling her. She eventually remembered to struggle back, but I held her down hard. No matter how much she struggled, she couldn't escape. I snatched her hair and slammed her head against the ground a few more times, hearing her crying out in anguish. Only then did I calm my deadly desire. If this weren't in my native country, someone like Willow would have been carried out and fed to wolves by now. I disgustedly shook my hand and looked at Willow, who was clutching her nose and wailing, are you even human? Is that your grandfather? But Willow, drugged out of her mind, lost her reason again. Good George, come kiss me. I'll make you the legitimate wife. Shut up. Unable to stop myself, I grabbed her head again and slammed it viciously into the ground. With a snap, her nasal bone fractured and she dropped to the ground, writhing violently. I felt a bit of relief after that. Although Willow was dealt with, I was still unstable, feeling heat rushing through my body. I couldn't stay here much longer. The front door was locked from the outside, so I groggily wrenched up the window in the back and climbed out. Fortunately, it was the first floor, or I might have shattered my legs. It was very silent around me. It appeared Willow had cleared everyone out. That made it easier for me to escape. I hadn't gone far when I felt myself getting dizzier. Fearing I could faint on the road and be picked up by someone, I located a tiny yard and climbed across. A piercing yell erupted from inside, sounding a bit familiar. A strong murderous intent hit me, sending goosebumps down my spine, briefly jerking me out of my daze. I saw Anna sitting in the yard and weakly shouted out, "Anna." The deadly purpose evaporated as Anna moved her wheelchair over to me. "George, how did you end up here?" Before she could finish, I pounced at her sitting on the wheelchair and throwing myself around her tightly. "Anna, help me." I grabbed Anna's collar and swiftly kissed her. At this point, my thoughts was utterly blurred. The drug Willow had used on me made me feel unbearably hot, like I was about to lose control. Anna froze for a moment, her eyes full of restraint as she looked at me. "George, do you know what you're doing? Do you know who I am?" I know. For all the years we've known each other, please help me." I rubbed against her. "Anna, please help me." But the woman in front of me stood motionless, her cold gaze fixed on me. I strained to keep some shred of logic and wobbled off her. "Forget it, I'll go find another." Before I could continue, my neck was grasped. Anna's head leaned against mine, and she glanced at me dangerously. "Who are you going to find, Willow?" The next second, a pair of frigid lips brushed against mine. A tremendous explosion sounded in my head. It felt like my body had erupted. I'd never experienced anything like it before. I grabbed her up and tossed her into the bed, back and forth over and over again. I had never felt such happiness, especially when I saw the tears in her eyes as she gazed at me. I was on the edge of exploding. I regret it. If I had known this would feel so nice, I should have clung to her sooner. Chapter 18. When I woke up, I had to acknowledge that I had spent a solid hours on Anna. Seeing her face of both humiliation and rage, I just couldn't help myself and drew her in for 3 rounds. It wasn't until the conclusion, when her eyes welled up with tears, that I stopped. Had I not sensed her fury, I might have kept going. I rested contentedly on the bed, cuddling her softly. "Are you awake?" Anna had already regained her senses. I couldn't help but blush slowly, sitting up, my suit all wrinkled. Anna looked at me expressionlessly, her eyes cold with lethal purpose. So what happened? I also felt wronged. If I hadn't stumbled into Anna today, but another woman, the ramifications would have been terrible. At this idea, I unloaded all that had happened at the dinner, almost like pouring beans out. Then I saw Anna smile. Her smile was generally a sign of something awful for whoever had angered her. As the banquet was nearing its close and everyone had drank enough, I changed into a generic dress and stayed in a corner undetected. Madam, I just saw Master Martin go into Master George's resting room." A loud shout nearly had me drop the cake I was holding. Looking closely, wasn't it the servant who had led me earlier? The small servant was plainly scared. "Master Martin warned me not to tell anyone, but Master George is still inside." So I hurried to inform Madam Martin, famed for being a playboy, was skilled in everything, from drinking to gambling. Most importantly, he was bisexual. "This is outrageous. How dare they do such filthy things?" In my Liu family, Madam Liu waved her fist dramatically, full of righteous wrath, guiding everyone into the guest rooms. I silently followed at the end of the line, and that's when I spotted my mother slipping along. I threw her a look. "Where have you been?" she sneered. "I've been hunting for you for 2 hours. Almost thought you were truly lost." Feeling terrible, I shifted my sight away. I couldn't exactly argue that Anna and I had been together for 2 hours, could I? By the time we reached the guest room door, before it was unlocked, we could already hear moaning from within, increasing louder. Everyone in the group had seen their fair share of stuff, so they swiftly covered their mouths, speaking to each other. Madam Liu feigned confusion and loudly asked, "Is it really Master George in there?" The servant immediately replied, "Yes, it's really Master George. Master Martin has already gone in." "Should we inform Madam that he's bullying Master George?" Some gossips quickly covered their mouths and whispered, "This isn't bullying. It's probably mutual consent. The son of a nouveau rich is really no good doing such dirty things at someone else's banquet. So uncouth." Madam Liu cleared her throat twice to stop the chatter. "This is my Liu family's banquet. I absolutely won't allow anyone to tarnish the old house." "Break down the door." The small servant, eager to show loyalty, ran up and aggressively shoved the door open. A foul fragrance immediately smacked everyone's faces. The crowd recoiled, gasping in amazement. My God, how can they be so shameless, sleeping together in someone else's house? It's such a shame, such a beautiful woman, and she ends up with Martin. How embarrassing. If this happened in my house, I'd rather hang myself. Didn't Master George already promise Miss Zhu? Does Miss Zhu know how wild he's been? In the middle of the empty room, two naked figures were entangled, lost in their passion, completely unaware that they were exposed to the gazes of everyone. Madame Liu raised her hand to hide the smirk at the corner of her mouth. "Let's not be too hasty. Maybe Master George and Master Martin are mutually in love. What's going on?" I carefully moved up from the rear of the group, innocently staring at Madame Liu. I was too far away, didn't hear clearly. "What were you all saying?" Chapter 19. "Oh, what are you doing here?" Madame Liu exclaimed in horror, her eyes instantly darting towards the chamber. "Madame Liu, that's a strange question. If I'm not here, where should I be?" I gazed at her with an innocent and perplexed expression. I just felt the air in the room wasn't good, so I went for a walk in the yard. Why is everyone gathered here at this time? The observers also sensed something was amiss. I was here, but who was inside? When Madame Liu saw who was in the room, she staggered backward in astonishment, her face pale, and she yelled in horror, "Get out, everyone, get out of here." The servant's legs gave out and she sank to the ground, her eyes wide with terror. Shocked exclamations flooded the air. The illicit encounter in the room had been interrupted, and the two within slowly regained their wits, staring at each other in disbelief. Willow grabbed a bathrobe from nearby and wrapped herself up, completely disregarding Makoto beside her. She lost control and cried, get out, all of you." The servant's legs gave out again, and she sank to the floor, crying, shouting, and cursing. It was a wild scene at the Liu family estate that night. The story from the Liu family mansion immediately circulated throughout the elite society. My own mother, leading the way to see the humor of my previous fiancé, ended up catching her own daughter and current fiancé in bed together. Willow, unable to release her fury, directed all of it onto Madame Liu. Had it not been for her bringing so many people with her, how would she have been so utterly humiliated? She had completely forgotten that this whole thing had been a conspiracy they'd set up themselves. Madame Liu had schemed against me, trying to use Martin to frame me, but Willow thought I was her man, and Martin wasn't worthy of touching me. So she sent him away and mounted the stage herself. But suddenly, not only did I escape, I ended up nearly murdering her. Coincidentally, Anna's people knocked out Makoto and sent him over. The two of them were imprisoned in a room with drugs and in full view of everyone. They did everything. I heard that things got fairly intense at the Liu family estate that night. Makoto returned to the Ito family crying, only to be sent back to the Liu family by them. Both Makoto and Willow became the laughingstocks of the whole circle. As the wedding date grew closer, news of the Liu family and Ito family's nuptials inundated the internet. A golden couple, a match created in heaven, separated due to a misunderstanding, and then reunited in a passionate romance, and so on. Various messages were released, gradually restoring Willow and Makoto's images. The two of them didn't stir up any more problems. Meanwhile, my family had duplicated my wedding invitations with Anna. Whoever the Liu family invited, we welcomed as well. The site was still the same hotel as before, but our family booked the nearby plaza, much larger and more spectacular. After the Liu family luncheon, Anna had to leave City A for something, but the gifts she had arranged continued to be sent every day. Sending gifts from the bride's side demonstrates respect for the groom, while the groom's dowry represents his future stature in the family. My father, with a stern look, was negotiating aggressively with her, giving half of the Wang family's assets as my dowry. Had I not stopped him, my father probably would have engraved my name on the Wang family's property right then and there. If Willow saw this, her eyes would probably fall out and she'd be on her knees crying for reconciliation. George looked. The wedding dress has arrived. My mother happily entered with several guests. They were holding a massive air freight box and gently removed the bridal dress, which was covered in layers of cotton gauze. This clothing had been specially removed from the Zhu family's treasure vault and transported back by private plane. Due to the difficulty of applying for the flight route, it had only arrived at this time. My mother tenderly stroked the wedding dress with astonishment in her eyes. I've heard this wedding dress is over 300 years old and it's been preserved so well. Chapter 20. The tailor in charge of the wedding dress adjusted the hem and then, with admiration in his voice, said, "This wedding dress has been carefully preserved. Only the heir can wear it during their wedding. In fact, no more than 5 people have worn it. Mr. Zhu is absolutely serious about your marriage." I shifted uneasily, feeling like a heavy stone was pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. We had agreed it would only be a fake marriage, so why did Anna bring out the true family heirloom? I couldn't handle this. My mother furrowed her brows and looked at me. "Why are you squirming? The wedding is almost here." I was wearing a simple white undergarment and awkwardly said, "I need to go to the bathroom." My mother's eyes widened, her finger trembling with anger. "At this time you better hold it in." The tailor quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "It's normal for the groom to be nervous on such an important day. Should I accompany the groom to the bathroom? A bit of fresh air might help." No need, I'll go by myself." I quickly waved my hand and grabbed my phone, rushing out. I really did need to go to the bathroom. My parents were very delighted with Anna as my bride now. If they found out it was a sham marriage, my life might be in risk. I had been so scared that I drank a lot of water. The motel my family leased was positioned right in front of a major plaza. To go to the bathroom, I had to go to the hotel's first-floor lobby. As soon as I entered, I observed some of the Liu family members posing for photos at the door. "Hey, isn't this George, the groom from today's wedding?" A friend of Makoto's recognized me quickly and loudly exclaimed, "Why aren't you wearing your wedding suit? Are you regretting it and thinking about getting back with Willow?" Quickly, all the eyes of the Liu family's relatives turned to me. Makoto, wearing a tailored costume with layers of makeup, was posing for photos with Willow. Upon hearing this, he instantly started speaking in a taunting tone. "Willow, do you regret marrying me? If you want to get back together with George, I won't stop you as long as you're happy." "Absolutely not." Willow immediately clutched Makoto's hands passionately. "You're the man I love most, and I'll marry no one but you in this life." Then she shot a disgusted look at me. "George, even if you regret it now, it's too late. I'll never give you the chance to regret." I sneered and pointed at the sign behind them. "Excuse me, you're blocking the way. Is the bathroom's feng shui better over here? Everyone's crowded by the restroom door." Willow's expression darkened, but she quickly calmed her friend, who was about to lash out. "Don't let irrelevant people disturb our important day." Makoto was immediately soothed, smiling happily as he returned to focusing on the photo shoot. When I came out of the bathroom, I noticed Willow waiting outside. Makoto and his buddies had already left, probably to make preparations. Willow stared me up and down with a smug grin on her face. "Are you really going to marry the cripple despite me, George? I admit I'm jealous." "Cancel the engagement." I looked at Willow in disbelief, my face full of the "what nonsense are you talking" attitude. Willow thought she had hit the mark and took another step toward me. "George, don't you know how I feel about you? It's just that your family has no power. While Makoto is the son of the Ito family, he can help me completely take control of the Liu family. If I marry you, I'll need 5 more years to fully control the Liu family, but with Makoto's help, everything will be different. George, can't you just be patient with me? Do I have to admit that I care about you before you'll understand? That cripple, what's the use? He's going to sit in a wheelchair for the rest of his life. He can't even buy you a decent wedding dress, and the wedding venue is only in a plaza." Chapter 21. Willow took step after step toward me, her movements flirtatious as she tried to lift the hem of my clothes. "George, come back to me. I can give you anything you want." I hurriedly took 3 steps back and shouted, "Don't come any closer." I glanced at Willow in disbelief. "Does Makoto know how shameless you are?" "He won't know, George. Give me 1 year. After 1 year, I'll divorce him and marry you instead. Will you accept me then?" Willow kept pressing ahead, her attention wholly concentrated on me, completely ignorant of Makoto suddenly standing behind her. A malicious gleam flashed in my eyes and I deliberately looked at Willow with feigned surprise, asking, "How do you plan to divorce him?" "I'll first use his family's power to take full control of the Liu family, and then I'll use the Liu family to swallow up the Ito family. This way I'll be the unrivaled ruler of City A and you'll be the exalted master of the Liu family. No one will be able to call you the son of a nouveau riche anymore." Looking at Willow's suicidal words, I shook my head and said, "How could old Mr. Liu raise such a filthy thing? Even animals are better than you." With that I raised my foot and kicked Willow hard in the stomach. She screamed and fell on the ground twitching. "George, you've gone crazy. You're the one who's crazy." I raised my foot and kicked her again, forcing Willow to howl in pain on the floor. Fear clutched her heart once again, and she shuddered helplessly. "You're going too far. I won't take you back even if you regret it later." Willow, are you okay?" Makoto immediately rushed over, gently lifting Willow up, his eyes filled with anger as he glared at me. "How could you hit someone?" I stared at Makoto in shock. "Did you hear the nonsense she just said?" Makoto looked at me in rage. "Of course I heard. Willow already told me she was just lying to you. She doesn't want that crippled bastard to have a good life. Can't she see what kind of person she is? And she still wants to fight for the Liu family with Willow. As long as you run away from the wedding, that cripple will be humiliated. Let's see what he can do to compete with Willow." I could still tell the difference between Willow's words and her true intentions. Marrying me was a deception, but eating the Wang family was the truth. What astonished me even more was that Makoto was so foolish to believe Willow's lies. I couldn't help but laugh. "You two are such a perfect match. Make sure to stay locked together, never break apart. I'm telling you, even if you like Willow, using that crippled bastard to provoke her won't work. Willow's one true love will always be me." Makoto arrogantly warned me, "If you dare to seduce Willow again, I'll make sure your entire family regrets ever being in City A." I couldn't help but laugh. The last person who threatened my entire family was Madame Liu. I stared at Makoto suspiciously, wondering who gave him the bravery. "I'm really curious, how exactly do you plan on dealing with my whole family?" "Do you know about Galaxy Group?" Makoto remarked, staring at me with pride. "The president of Galaxy Group is a close friend of my dad. She came back to the country specifically to attend my wedding and discuss cooperation with our family. We're about to open up the international market." I gazed at Makoto in disbelief. "Galaxy Group, are you sure? Is it the same Galaxy Group I know?" Makoto glanced at me longingly. "Speaking of which, the president of Galaxy Group is also named Wang, but this Wang is from a super family in country W. Galaxy Group, founded by their patriarch, is renowned internationally." He then sneered at me. "People like you nouveau riche will never reach that level, no matter how many lifetimes you live." I nodded, confirming it. It was absolutely the Wang I knew. Chapter 22. Alicia was indeed returning to her home country today. After all, it was my wedding, and if she didn't arrive, my dad would certainly beat her to the point she couldn't get out of bed. Our family is highly protective, and the Liu and Ito families had already caused us so much shame, continuously stirring up difficulties. If Alicia didn't take care of them, it would be a wonder. How had she become such good friends with the Ito family again? Willow, Makoto, Madame Liu ran over from the side with a tense look. "Hurry up, Mr. Wang's car is almost here." Willow and Makoto immediately rushed outside, ignoring everything else. I lifted my foot about to watch the drama unfold, when my mother suddenly ran over, grabbed me by the arm, and shouted urgently, "You're walking into a trap. Hurry up. Time's almost up." "No, Alicia's here," I cried, holding my mom. "That's Alicia, the vicious, merciless Alicia." I wanted to watch the drama unfold. My mom scowled and dragged me toward the tent. "Even if the King of Heaven is here, you can't waste time. As soon as I arrived back to the tent, someone hurriedly wrapped the ancient bridal dress over me, and I was instantly placed in front of a mirror. The makeup artist with a huge brush started applying cosmetics on me. In the midst of all the chaos, I truly did feel like I was about to marry Anna. Little Mr. Wang, you finally arrived. Willow and Makoto entered at the hotel's main entrance and spotted Mr. Ito standing next to a gorgeous 20-year-old woman bowing and admiring her. Willow couldn't help but pause. This person looked so familiar. Willow, come here. Mr. Wang hurriedly beckoned Willow over, his face full of obsequiousness. This is the young Mr. Wang from Galaxy Group I've been telling you about. He's only 20, yet he's managing Galaxy Group with great success. Willow quickly stooped down, extended her hand to the young Mr. Wang. Young Mr. Wang, hello, I'm Willow. The young Mr. Wang looked Willow up and down, a meaningful smile growing on his face. I've heard a lot about you, Miss Liu. Now that I see you in person, you truly are extraordinary. Willow felt uneasy. The individual in front of her was several years younger, yet spoke to her as if they were an older. But as soon as she thought about the strength of Galaxy Group, she instantly ignored that discomfort. As long as she could climb up to Galaxy Group, the entire Liu family would rise to the next level, and becoming the wealthiest family in the country would not be impossible. This was the very reason she had abandoned George and endured the idiocy of Makoto. Willow lowered her head and bent at the waist. It's an honor to be remembered by you, young Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang, eager to improve his own image, had recruited a lot of reporters to photograph the wedding, and now they were shooting pictures of the interaction between young Mr. Wang and Willow. Some reporters even started live streaming the incident. After all, the head of Galaxy Group, a worldwide recognized billionaire, wasn't someone they could readily meet as ordinary folks. Mr. Wang watched the situation with a smile, already picturing the jump in stock prices for the Wang Group tomorrow. Both of them had their own goals when suddenly a sneer was heard from above. Of course, I've heard of her. I traveled thousands of miles from abroad just to see what the woman who abandoned my second brother and dragged the Wang family's name through the mud looks like. Young Mr. Wang looked Willow up and down. She doesn't seem that impressive. Your brother. Willow froze. Young Mr. Wang? Your second brother is? Young Mr. Wang chuckled. Of course you don't know who my second brother is. Otherwise you wouldn't have abandoned him. Otherwise you'd be the second daughter-in-law of Galaxy Group. Willow remained still shocked, like she had been electrocuted. Chapter 23. No, impossible. I don't believe it, Willow yelled frantically, shaking her head. The Wang family is just a bunch of nouveau rich, and George is the son of a nouveau rich. How could he possibly be? With a few sharp sounds, numerous luxury cars drew up outside the hotel. An older man dressed in a Tang suit stepped out of one of the cars, followed quickly by a bunch of bodyguards. The old guy saw young Mr. Wang standing by the door and instantly waved his bodyguards aside, walking over with a smile. Young Mr. Wang, I don't know what your father was thinking coming all the way to this small place. The driver had to circle the area twice before finding the road. Young Mr. Wang bowed graciously. I didn't expect Mr. Law to be the first to arrive. Please, my parents have been waiting for you. They're taking the long way around. Mr. Law rubbed young Mr. Wang's shoulder. I didn't expect you three, but it seems George will be the first to marry. You better catch up, Mr. Law, you're joking. My older brother is still ahead. Alicia, without even throwing a glance at Willow, went side by side with the elderly man into the outside square. Merwang stood frozen in place, murmuring under his breath, Mr. Law, he's the chairman of Tianchi Group. He actually came in person. At that moment, a blonde woman wearing a straw hat, a floral shirt, and a Hawaiian beach skirt strolled up. She stopped a passerby and awkwardly asked in broken Mandarin, Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to George and Anna's wedding venue? The passerby casually pointed over there in the outdoor plaza. Thank you. The blonde beauty gave a gentlemanly bow and then headed toward the plaza. She immediately saw Alicia and Luis and waved enthusiastically, Hi, George and Mr. Law. Merlaw turned around in surprise and looked at her. Did you just return from a vacation in Africa? Hi, I was on vacation, and I only got the invitation yesterday. The blonde beauty complained. If I didn't come, young Mr. Wong would have killed me. The blonde beauty walked alongside them. They brought so many people. The road was packed with cars, so I got out and walked over. She looked a bit sour. I didn't expect young Mr. Wong to marry someone else. Oh, I'm heartbroken, Sophia. My brother doesn't look at people like you. Alicia weighed the blonde beauty up. You have too many male friends. Ah, a nearby photographer suddenly shrieked. That's Miss Sophia. She's the president of Blair Group. The three top tycoons on the billionaire list casually spoke. As they went toward the square, excuse me, could you tell me where the zoo and Wong family wedding is? Another top billionaire, accompanied by bodyguards, presented a gilded invitation in his hand. Over there, the reporters, already in shock, were now too astonished to talk, only shouting. One after another, top tycoons who only appeared in publications were asking for directions, carrying an invitation that looked so old-fashioned it might as well have been from another century. The first reporter to react quickly called their editor-in-chief. Editor-in-chief, Mr. Law, Miss Sophia, Mr. David, they're all here. What are you talking about? The editor-in-chief was ready to attend the Liu family's wedding when he received the phone, looking bewildered. Ah, that's Miss Joan. Miss Bruce, the reporters yelled. As the editor-in-chief's phone tumbled to the ground, she hurriedly scooped it up, scared. Who did you say? Who did you just say? The reporter yelled with all their might. Wong, it's the Wong from Galaxy Group. The editor-in-chief stood frozen. The next second she jumped up. Quick, get me the Wong family's invitation. I'm going to their wedding. All pages, all of them, print this. The man abandoned by the Liu family turns out of town. Chapter 24, the entire high society of City received notifications from all directions, with the search for Wong family invitations happening everywhere. On this day, every garbage truck in the city was thoroughly searched. Those who found their invitations laughed joyfully, while those who didn't were filled with despair. The hotel where George and Anna's wedding was being held was surrounded by a massive crowd, completely packed. Really, I have an invitation. I just lost it by accident. Let me in too. Say a few words. Mr. Wong will definitely let me in. Me too. I was at the Wong family's door when George gave me the annulment letter to read. I have a connection with Master George. The security guards at the entrance with expressionless faces blocked everyone from entering and said, without an invitation, no one can enter. I have it. I have the invitation, someone shouted, holding up their invitation high, attracting a sea of jealousy. Even if it was torn, even if it looked like it had been dug out of a trash can, it was still an invitation from the Wong family. The Ito family and Liu family watched their empty banquet halls. Ito's legs gave way and he collapsed to the ground, saying, it's over, it's completely over. Willow tightly clenched her fists, her face dark as she stood to the side. Suddenly, Mr. Ito grabbed Willow, pulling her up in a panic. Didn't you say the Wong family was just a bunch of nouveau rich? How did they turn into the old Mr. Wong and the second young master of Galaxy Group? It's over. Ito family is done. For Willow snapped back to reality, rushing toward the plaza in disbelief. George, I regretted. It was Makoto, the bastard who seduced me. I love you the most. Makoto stood frozen, not believing what he was hearing, and chased after her. Willow, what did you say? Willow, but Willow couldn't make it in. She was stopped by security before she could even get close to the plaza. No matter how much she screamed, she couldn't get through. Meanwhile, I was unaware of all this. I had changed into my wedding attire and stood at the start of the red carpet. The guests were already seated, with top billionaires, famous international stars, and even a few regular people scattered among them. The applause echoed, and I thought I heard Sophia's voice crying out in the distance. Under the gaze of everyone, Anna walked toward me, holding a bouquet of bright red roses. Anna's legs had been in treatment, and she was just a step away from full recovery. It was the words from my father that had spurred her to take the final step. She walked up to me and lifted the bouquet. George, from the moment I saw you, I was deeply drawn to you. That winter night, I stepped into your car thinking if I were to die, the last person I wanted to see was you. She gazed into my eyes. I couldn't accept your desire for a phony marriage because I only accept death apart. I definitely cannot tolerate separation in life. You are my one true love, George. Will you marry me? Will you be my one and only wife for life? I stared at Anna in shock, feeling my heart slowly start to burn with warmth. Fake marriage, my father standing below spoke in a voice that sounded like it was squeezed through his teeth. George, I jumped in shock and quickly stepped forward to take the bouquet from Anna. I do, I will marry you. My mother held my father back, who was seething with anger. I could hear his furious shouts from a distance. George, you better explain yourself. What do you mean by fake marriage? Chapter 25. I really did marry Anna. There's no fake about it. Since the moment she revealed the truth about our fake marriage, I've been hiding at the Zhu family's house for half a month, not stepping outside the front door, afraid my parents would catch me, breaking my legs. Since the wedding night, Anna seemed like a different person, constantly clinging to me. From morning till night, this woman's legs are better now and she's nonstop clinging to me every day, without any restraint. Finally, when she went out for business, I sneaked out quietly, wanting to get some fresh air. Just as I stepped outside the villa before I could take a stroll, I saw a figure standing at the entrance, haggard and smelling foul, practically looking like a skeleton. She saw me and immediately lit up, quickly walking towards me and saying, "George, you finally came out." I was startled. Why was Willow standing here? I stepped back to paces and couldn't help but cover my nose. "What are you doing here?" Willow with red eyes dropped to her knees at my feet. George the first, no, I was wrong. I really messed up, George. For the sake of our past, please, I beg you, forgive me. Forgive the Liu family. I'll do anything you want. Since the wedding day, the entire City 8's press had been mocking Willow for being blind and mistaking trash for treasure. Anna's true identity was exposed, and the Liu and Ito families had completely lost all ground. Without Alicia even lifting a finger, the opportunists quickly cut off the Liu family's financial lifeline. Now Liu's partners were breaching contracts and a huge amount of goods piled up in their warehouse. The penalty payments they received weren't enough to cover the cost of the goods, and Liu family was constantly surrounded by factories demanding payment. The bank refused to approve any loans, and Liu family was forced to sell assets. At this point, Anna found out that after old Mr. Liu's passing, Willow and Madame Liu had embezzled a large sum of the Liu family's public funds. Liu family became the most hated target. Everyone wanted to see them fall. When it became clear that Anna was the one pulling the strings behind Liu family's downfall, Ito fled faster than anyone else. Makoto was left behind at Liu family, unable to withstand their decline. He didn't dare imagine what would become of them. He took all the jewels from Liu family's safe and ran. When Willow found herself at the end of the line, she thought of me again and was prepared to sell herself to me. Willow in desperation kneeled at my feet. "George the First was wrong. I really was wrong. I shouldn't have been so deluded. It was all Makoto's fault. He seduced me and I made the wrong choice. Please forgive me. I'll be your mistress. I'll do anything you ask. George, you still love me, don't you?" I stepped back, dodging Willow's filthy hands. How dare she have the audacity? Before I could curse her, a delicate hand wrapped around me from behind and I fell into a familiar embrace. Anna gave a cold laugh, looking at the woman kneeling on the ground. "Miss Liu, you've come to offer yourself to my husband's bed. It seems like the Liu family isn't done falling yet." Willow tried to speak, but just then a police car pulled up beside us. Several plainclothes officers got out and showed Willow an arrest warrant. "Willow, we assume you're implicated in the murder of Mr. Pablo. Come with us." "No, it's not me. I had nothing to do with it." Willow panicked, turning to run, but she was pinned to the ground. She reached out to me in desperation. "George, help me. It really wasn't me. It was my mother, not me. You should be calling her uncle now." Anna tightly held onto me, looking down at the pinned Willow. "It's me who's been dealing with the Liu family. I'll find every single person who's wronged my mother, and you're the first." Chapter 26. Although I had suspected the cause of Oldmer Liu's death, seeing Willow like this still made me feel a deep chill. At this point, Willow still refused to repent, shouting, "It wasn't me, it was her. Who framed me? Go arrest her." On a sneer, "You still don't regret it even when your end is near. The old man certainly was misfortune to meet someone like you. The things you and your mother did, I've already turned over all the evidence. The Liu family is finished, completely finished." Willow immediately collapsed in despair. eventually being forced into the police car. Anna dragged me back to the room and pushed me down onto the bed. She looked down at me from above. "Do you still like her?" I immediately felt a shiver run through my body, my back aching, my legs cramping up. I shook my head frantically, showing Anna my loyalty. "Of course not. Willow is just trash. How could she compare to my wife? My wife is the most beautiful, the most powerful woman in the world." Really? Anna slowly started to undo my tie, unbuttoning my shirt one by one. She was like a seductive spirit, her knees pressing into the mattress, inching closer to me. With a cold laugh, she looked at me. "Then why did you agree to marry her in the first place?" Hearing this question, I couldn't help but roll my eyes internally. Since the wedding night, every single day she asked me the same question. After every answer, she tormented me fiercely. With my poor back aching, I looked at Anna pitifully. "It's because you weren't by my side. If it wasn't you, it wouldn't have meant anything to me. I was just settling for something." Anna's face darkened, her smile turning cold. I didn't know that the famous George would just settle. I quickly turned and ran for the door, thinking that if I ran fast enough, my back wouldn't hurt. The next second, I was harshly thrown back onto the bed, her soft body pressing against mine. Anna's voice, filled with danger, whispered in my ear, sending a chill down my spine. "Run? Where do you think you can escape to?" I stared at the crystal chandelier on the ceiling, feeling myself once again caught in an inescapable vortex. It wasn't uncomfortable, it was more than that. It was overwhelming, a bit too much. I don't know how long it lasted, but I was in a daze. Anna, however, seemed completely satisfied, resting in my arms with a refreshed expression. "George, let's make a little George. That way Mom and Dad won't break your legs when they see our little one." I snapped back to my senses, turned over, climbed on top of Anna with a heroic expression on my face. "What are we waiting for? Let's go." My parents had been waiting for me to come to them and apologize. But after 3 months, they still hadn't seen me. The more they thought about it, the angrier they got. Together they stormed to the Zoo family house, only to find Anna lying on the sofa, pale. While I knelt at her feet, I carefully looked at her. "Anita, let's not have a child, okay? As long as I have you, that's enough for me." "Have a child? Why not? After we have a child, your parents won't break your legs." Anna rolled over and grabbed the trash can. Ugh. I quickly patted her back in concern. "No children, no children." My mom pinched my dad and he winced in pain. Then my mom suddenly jumped up. "I'm going to be a grandma." My dad pretended to stay composed, but the excitement in his eyes was unmistakable. The Wong family was about to welcome a new addition.